Plus. Holding to order the Board of Directors meeting of Metro Plus, Thursday, December 11th at 10:30 a.m. Welcome, everybody, to the final meeting of 2025. An amazing year, a tsunami of a year. I applaud all of you here and all of you who've worked so hard this year. What we're going to do until Mark gets here is we're just going to go through the presentations. He lives in the village, so he should be here in short order. We won't do the budget because that requires a vote. We're going to start with membership and trends. Lauren and Roger.
Roger's
Okay.
presentation.
Okay.
Sally, you want to start with the pillars?
Where I don't see, strategic pillars. Yeah, I could do that. Let's start with strategic pillars then. Dr. Schwartz.
Morning, everyone. So as the board is aware, every end of the year, we decide on where we're going to put disproportionate resources, time, and effort in the upcoming year so that we can accomplish the most important goals for the company. My new, not so new anymore, but my philosophy is that one of the most important jobs that I have is to say no. Because there are, Ravens too, yes. Because there are so many opportunities in front of us, especially nowadays, especially with the booming of technology and AI, and there seems to be a vendor for everything, literally everything, for problems we're aware of and problems we were not even aware we had. There are really tremendous opportunities, but really to be successful, it's very important for us to identify what is absolutely critical for the company and what the company must focus on. So it's not an easy exercise to do that, but it's a very necessary one for us to be successful. And I think the reason that ultimately 2025 ended up being as successful as it is, where we essentially over-delivered, frankly. We blew our profit out of the park. We blew our operations and efficiencies out of the park. We already launched half of Health Edge a few days ago, and all of it on Monday. The reason, and there are many, many more accomplishments that we will publish to all of you. We'll do our traditional 25 for 25. So the number of accomplishments correlating with a year, although we had hard time narrowing it down to 25. I'll just say that. But the reason we were successful, despite the fact that it has been a very challenging year because so much was unknown for so long, was because we stayed focused. I will share with you that when we started this exercise, we were running about 250 projects. The company was running 250 new projects, new implementations. And we slashed this in a very, very, very aggressive way to only what is absolutely necessary. And that's the reason 25, although still hard and challenging, was successful. And so learning from this experience, we're going to continue on this path into 26. What you'll see in terms of the pillars and the focus is that there isn't a significant change from what we've been doing in 25, because really the path we adopted for 25 is a long path. And the critical enhancements that we identified for 25 don't just happen at a snap of the fingers. It takes a lot of work and development. So we made progress in 25, and we will continue to make additional progress in 26. So there's nothing revolutionary, but there is focused vision on the items that will position us to be successful so that we can be ready for the subsequent year to take more risks and really delve into new developments and when our foundation is strong and stable. So 26 is still foundational. Still, let's make sure that we have all of the basics in place, that things are working well, so that we can take on the additional expansion and risks that we want in the future. So with that, there are 4 pillars that we are focused on. The first one is transform plant operations for scalable efficiency. It's such a mouthful, but really what this means is we need to finish Health Edge, obviously. First and foremost, that's the engine. The car doesn't, or the plane, or whatever you want it to be, doesn't go without the engine. So obviously successful continued implementation of Health Edge is top priority for the company. It has been this year, and it will continue to be next year and into 27. As well as enhancing the value that we're getting out of Salesforce. A few years ago, we implemented Salesforce to be our kind of unified platform and a source of truth across the organization. We launched it also in phases, starting with the call center and expanding now into sales and into customer success and into other areas. So Salesforce is becoming the platform on which the company communicates. It becomes the platform where all the information resides and is available to the users. And so continuing to maximize the value that we get out of the platform is really, really important and will continue to propel us forward. You probably remember we launched the Marketing Cloud this year on Salesforce that is now already helping us to capture leads in a more effective way, and is going to help us in a year that's going to be more challenging with membership, right? To make sure we are catering and supporting legitimate leads into becoming members. The other piece that resides in that pillar is really efficiency. So even though we are focused on what we are going to be doing in 26, there's still a lot to do. And so one of the things that we acknowledge that we need to do is bring more efficiency into what we are already doing. And so there's going to be some controlled introduction of AI into our operations. We're not talking about a revolution. We're not changing anything on a massive scale. But our IT team is slowly getting more and more comfortable with AI. So in pre-identified areas where the effort is contained and where the benefit is clear and where the guardrails are clear, because that's the other issue with AI, AI will be introduced not to do new things, not to delve into new adventures, just to be more efficient so we can deliver on what we need to deliver in 26. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar is about our members. I mean, obviously, we can never operate a successful plan if we're not focused on our members. And there are different aspects to how we cater to our members. It includes everything from their experience with us to their experience with our network, access to the network, making sure we have not just efficient network, but customized to our members with providers who come from the right cultural background, and where the complaints that we have been hearing that are now, I would say, more under control in terms of access and timely access to care are better addressed. So again, without going into a lot of details, there's more details in that pillar. Maybe Angela, you can. We have. Oh, I'll forget about it. There's
You want the laptop?
there are more details there in terms of kind of the sub bullet points. I'm gonna go. But ultimately, it's really making sure that we live up to the reason we're here, right? Making sure that we serve our members. So you see, we have some concrete goals here, specifically achieving 10% reduction in voluntary disenrollment. In voluntary, we have less control, although we can help people if it's documentation, if it's just doing the right steps to recertify and renew. But voluntary is really their experience, and this is where we feel we can have more impact. The other area where we believe we have an opportunity is really working more closely with health and hospitals. We talked about the percent of the commercial business that we have with health and hospitals. We believe there is opportunity also for government-sponsored growth with health and hospitals. We believe that there are operational synergies that we have not fully explored yet that can be explored. We see them in the reports. We see reports in terms of the percent of government-sponsored memberships by plan with health and hospitals. And so we believe there is an opportunity there as well. The third one, again, a plan cannot exist if it's not focused on its growth. And so in terms of the growth, I know we had focus on specific zip codes where we identified that we did not have sufficient penetration. We did make some progress there in those zip codes to varying levels of success, but there has been progress when we identified those zip codes. So we will continue to work on specific zip codes, but not limit ourselves. But we've seen through 2025 that at some points we kind of lost the vision of the forest, and we're very, very focused on the trees. And there needs to be a good balance of focusing on zip codes with opportunity, but not forgetting that we really have the entire city to cater to and continue to promote ourselves and work with various partners in the community. So
Those are 2020.
We apologize, that's 2020.
okay. Where's
Go.
The 2026 is coming up. Keep going down.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so we talked about this. Okay. This was the efficiency. Okay. So for the third goal, which is expand and optimize provider network, I mentioned this before. We need to do a better job really aligning ourselves with the provider network. We see that when we really have alignment, usually with IPAs or large provider groups, we do account management, we meet with them regularly, we look at numbers regularly, we identify where we have synergies, we see growth. So it's important to truly invest in the relationship with those groups where we see opportunity. And so we are going to continue to do that. We delved into 2 IPAs in 25 where we saw significant growth of membership. So we know it works. So instead of saying kind of generally, oh, we really need to engage the network, identify the specific partners, and there are some names of specific partners we want to continue to engage with and add new ones in 26 so that we can see membership growth. And then nothing happens without, I'm sorry, I keep on going. Yes. Nothing happens without people. right? We need the right culture, the right methods, to make sure that we are enabling the first three goals. So we started really building more alignment, more structural alignment this year, making sure that at least at a high level, what was it, SLT? It was SLT and above. People had predefined goals. I know this is not groundbreaking, but we didn't have this at Metro Plus. So all of SLT had predefined goals at the beginning of the year, and their annual evaluation will be against those written goals that were agreed to, instead of kind of, oh, how I feel you've done last year. And those goals were aligned to our 2025 pillars. So they're not just floating somewhere. So there are specific goals, they're written, they're documented, and they match to the 2025 goals. So we've done this for 2025, we're expanding it of who's going to be included in this process for 2026. We can't just do it company-wide because it's a huge effort. So we have to do it kind of in a phased approach. We're also we introduced coaching for our staff, and the coaching will continue into 2026. And essentially, it happens for two reasons. Number one, people who are superstars here, we want to give them the support to grow even further. And the other side of the coaching is people who are managing other people and need more support to be more effective managers. So really the plan is to continue to develop the support for the two ends of the spectrum. One of the repeated issues that we're hearing, and it's not unique to Metro Plus, is individual contributors, because they're good at what they do, get promoted and become managers. They don't necessarily have managerial skills. And so they just figure it out. Some figure it out well and some less so. So really giving people the support that they need to be effective managers. The other thing we're going to address is in certain areas, we see a pretty significant turnover at the beginning of their tenure with us. So we'll have a built-in process to essentially assess how people are doing here, not just by their respective departments, but by HR. Essentially a check-in for the first 6 months or so when we see turnover, to make sure that we're addressing issues before people either are asked to leave or want to leave. This is not new, but we do Press Ganey. We've done this last year. We're doing it this year. So certainly incorporating the feedback from Press Ganey. One of the reasons we have coaching in place right now is because of the feedback that we got from Press Ganey. And then succession planning. So I think the board knows, we heavily rely on our select individuals here. And for some of them, if they leave tomorrow, I think the company will really have to struggle with how to fill in the void that's created. Obviously, our size company can't afford to have that. So there's an intentional process of creating succession. We've made some progress. We put in some succession planning this year, but we're not done. So this has to continue into next year. And then we talked about the fact that we want to be more efficient. So there is a company view of being more efficient and using AI, but frankly, AI now exists everywhere. I mean, I'm assuming there isn't a person in this room who doesn't use AI in one way or another. So we feel obligated to help our employees to really kind of catch up with times and be more savvy with AI to help them in their lives. It will also help them in their day-to-day function here. So there is a very intentional effort here to train our staff on AI to help them be individually more efficient here. So there are more bullet points throughout. There are targets for our gold membership, for our Medicare membership. it's all on the slides. I just wanted kind of to give an overview of what we are going to be focused on. So what you're seeing is nothing revolutionary here. Really, we're kind of staying the course because we have to, but really strengthening the foundation that we're building here. So we are well positioned for 27 to go wild.
I think Talia understates when she says there's nothing revolutionary here. Everything here is revolutionary. She and I started 6 years ago in our current positions, and customer relations, customer development, that was Roger. And Roger and Roger. And
Don't leave.
nobody leave. Our marketing effort was non-existent. Our personnel training was minimal at most. This has undergone one of the most dramatic transformations, I think, of all of the pillars that Talia's laid out. And I mean, I could go on, but it's Talia's energy, her vision, her fearlessness that really just keep us moving forward. It's exhausting sometimes, but it keeps us moving forward. We just never settle and say we've arrived. We've never arrived. And the growth just, every single member of her staff, really some of the most exceptional people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I think you see that at our board meetings. You hear more of it now with what Talia's presented. You get a sense of the depth and breadth of what's going on. But I just want to acknowledge her and thank her for being the great leader that she is.
Thank you.
Go to the one HR.
Oh, where are we going now?
HR.
Oh, perfect.
Which one?
Right in the strategic.
HR 2025 review. Michael?
Thank you. So this dovetails very nicely with the comments Talia just made about the goals for 2026, but I'm going to focus a bit on the things that we set in place for 2025. We laid that foundation. More work needs to occur. Changing cultures takes years. It doesn't happen overnight. But I think we put the infrastructure in place to further align our culture with our strategic initiatives, which is really important. And so to talk about some of the things that we have accomplished, we developed these foundational strengths of behaviors. I use those words interchangeably for our purposes, but the behaviors that align Metro Plus value with the Metro Plus values. And the three large buckets are teamwork and collaboration, customer focus, ownership and accountability. The only place that we had any look at that was in the annual evaluation, and they're very generic and they really weren't aligned with what we needed to accomplish to move projects forward. So underneath all those buckets, there's a whole bunch of bullets of behaviors and definitions. So it's not just what is teamwork and collaboration. We've defined those. And to Talia's point, we started with the senior leadership team, which is the senior directors, the vice presidents, the deputies, and the chiefs that are going to be evaluated. We felt that it was important that our senior leadership team model these behaviors rather than just to introduce them to the organization. And so the evaluation that's coming up for next year for 2025, which we'll do in the beginning of 2026, is going to have that group, which is about 65 leaders, are going to be evaluated on that. We've also created a second component here because we recognize that teamwork is very important. And we've got some team goals in customer service and employee engagement and a whole bunch of other areas. So these behaviors are going to link to being able to accomplish organizational goals, as well as them modeling the behaviors that we can then begin to introduce it in 2026 to further levels within the organization. And to begin to introduce it, we have an employee recognition program where where our employees can get points and they can take those points and purchase merchandise. And we've rebranded it called Impact Plus. And it's a very successful program. A lot of employees and leaders use it but we also wanted to make sure it aligns with those behaviors, those buckets. So to get some recognition, they have to demonstrate, and there's a write-up about teamwork and collaboration. How did they demonstrate that? So we think that that's very important also. We also learned from our engagement survey last year, and as Talia mentioned, we are doing another one right now, that there were some communication gaps. And we do organization-wide town halls every quarter, but we felt that there needed to be some more communication for the chiefs, that they can reiterate some of the messages organization-wide, but talk to some specific issues within each of the divisions, and also to recognize and be good listening points for the chiefs for things that are going on within their own group. So we put that in place, and we think that that's been very helpful as well. Next slide, please. So the whole organization has moved to more metric driven. HR is no exception. We have a whole host of metrics that we are tracking, and that is the core of the basis of decisions we make and programs that we want to put in place. It's not, well, we think that would work really well, or we've read about it in an article, or it's a best practice. We are solving problems the metrics actually tell us about. We've added, as we talked about, for the performance appraisal for that group, that's the senior directors and above, the strengths and behaviors. So we talked about that. And we also, Talia mentioned that we have goals that were set for the entire senior leadership team, that same group of about 65 leaders. And that will be incorporated into the evaluation this year. And we are going to reset the goals again for 2026, and it'll be part of next year, 2027 evaluation. I think that really is very important in setting accountability and ownership. So if we have the strategic plan, but we don't cascade it down to the individual level of what the leader is responsible for in terms of timeline, deliverables, it could get lost a little bit. And this adds a little substance to that evaluation. And then we implemented, so we do the annual surveys, but we also are wanting more data. So with Press Ganey, they have other options available for us, other tools for us, and they have onboarding. So we check the employees that we onboard at 7 days. They're given a survey from our Press Ganey, from the outside vendor. How are we doing? And it's really about, how was the recruitment process? Was it too long? Whatever their view is. And then they have the acclimation, which we do a checkpoint at 30 and 90 days. And those are critical points. Most organizations, and ours as well, in the first year, there's a lot of turnover, and particularly in some of the high volume areas. And this is meant to give us some insights into what is going on in the minds of those employees. Are they going to stay? Some of them, we don't want them to stay, but a whole bunch of them, we want them to stay. But for whatever reason, we need to solve some problems that we may not be hearing. And then when employees leave, also hearing what some of the issues were and doing exit surveys. So we think that's really important. We also, for our new hire orientation, was 2 days, and we've expanded it to 3 days, but we're also having a callback period of 2.5 months and 5 months. Again, another data point, check in, is everything going okay? And we may want to emphasize some things, but it's really to listen to them. What is going right? We want to get down some of our high turnover for some of those high volume areas that we have to a lot more manageable level. Next slide, please. We also had a consultant last summer and also connects with the results of Press Ganey's survey that said, again, we've talked about some communication gaps. So we put in place, we call it the Strategic Effectiveness Team, or SET. If you don't like the name, blame me, but it's become part of who we are. So the SET team is basically the deputies from each of the divisions and some of the vice presidents. It's a smaller group. That helps to take on some projects, facilitate with decision-making. That helps us to identify successes. We can see them firsthand. We have joint meetings with the executive leadership team, the chiefs, and the SET team regularly. And it's worked out well. Might have been a little slow start, but I think they found their footing, and I think things are moving quite well with that team. And it's become another structure for us that we're leveraging and is helping us with execution. We also have ladder programs, and some of them we've tried to refresh them all this year. And we've also adding some new ones. I won't read the list, but those are the high volume, multiple incumbent positions that there could be a customer service rep 1, customer service rep 2, customer service rep 3, that individuals have a career path. And we're hoping that we will create that opportunity for people to want to commit to our organization. So that represents, and I think the most important number on this page is that's 35% or more of our workforce is eligible for a lot of these ladders. And then we talked about coaching. I won't really say anything more about that. We do have the two spectrums, two ends of the spectrum that we want to look at is those that we're identifying for succession. We have a formal process we put in place, as Talia mentioned, and also those leaders that need a helping hand from the metrics, again, that theme, that they aren't doing as well as they potentially could. And we're starting off with 20 leaders that are in that bucket that have started coaching, and we will continue to rotate through that. I think the most important thing is we don't want people to feel it's a punishment. And that's why we have both ends of the spectrum, and people hopefully will get excited and learn and help us to continue to execute on our strategies. So I think that's the last slide.
Michael, I think that a lot of what you say is going to be viewed very positively because you're supporting people, creating career ladders for them, coaching opportunities, but it's new. And so I imagine it's a little unnerving to overlay all of this. And I don't think you've been here a year, Michael. How do you address that? Just this new approach?
Have to pace it. I think that the best answer for that is doing it in chunks. So we'll take a group that's smaller to introduce some of the programs we're putting in place and then show that it's successful and expand beyond that. So that's the strategy we've used. And so I've been here 16 months now.
16 months.
Yes. I had dark hair when
I just want to add, while we're on this topic, that Metro Plus was on the top workplaces list that was published by City and State New York.
Wow.
This year?
Bravo, bravo.
So very, very, very proud. We say it can't be done without the people. It's true. We need to make sure that people are thriving here. So this is a nice accolade for us.
Wonderful. Is there anything that's not sure, we'll start with membership and trends. Roger's back. Let's see, Lauren, Roger.
Yeah, you can go. All right, so our membership remains strong, and the decline that we saw in the latter part of last year, early part of this year, is now neutralized and is now stable. We saw an increase in the November and December files. So our current membership stands at, it's actually higher than that, 686,736. So we had a big bump up in November and December. EP and Medicaid managed care had no market share change. We kept the same market share in those two lines of business. Child Health Plus and HARP had a slight decline in market share by 1%. And PIC actually increased our partnership and care program. We increased our market share by 27%, up from 24%. So membership is doing really well and stable right now.
Okay.
That's pretty much most of what I said.
Start on Project Edge. I know we have some votes on items, but you could do the presentation, Tomasz.
I'll be happy to. Thank you. My name is Tomasz. I'll be very pleased to provide you with a quick update on Project Edge. Unlike past board meetings where I provided you an update of where we stood in the journey, talked about some of the issues and risks, I want to take a moment to celebrate the upcoming milestone of our go live, which happens on the 15th of December. And I am incredibly excited about. I don't have a wide range of facial emotions, so excuse but I'm incredibly excited about it. Now, we've already gone live with our clinical platform earlier this week. The teams have been working on it in the last couple of days. As of this morning, we had 200 and somewhat authorizations in the platform that were entered by the team. There are some issues, but nothing we would consider a showstopper or severe enough to merit escalation to the group. This is a momentous go live. When I think about what it took from our organization, from our partners, from all of those that we interact with every day, it is a phenomenal achievement. All in all, I think just the numbers speak to it. 200,000 plus hours of work from our teams and our partners to make this a reality. We've implemented a system from 0 to 1. Right? We've had Health Edge and Guiding Care configurable platforms, very configurable. But to configure them to our needs and to meet New York regulations has been a tremendous effort. Just for the couple numbers, because I'm a numbers person for reference. We have 99,000 plus practitioners in our network. Every one of them will be able to submit a claim on Monday and be reimbursed through a new platform. Just the sheer scale of setting up the network, our membership, our payment rules, our clinical management protocols and forms is a tremendous achievement. We started a journey in 23. We've made a number of pivots along the way. Pivots around what lines of business do we launch first? We're launching with a small line of business so we can contain the impact, stabilize it, and ensure that we're delivering optimal service to all of our customers, members, providers, brokers. We've changed how we've approached billing. We recently made a decision to continue using our internal home-built billing application for the foreseeable future until the solution around Health Edge is ready, mature, and meets all of New York's requirements. We did it for a couple of reasons. One is we wanted to de-risk the program. At every timeline we saw that we were working with our partners to address missing features, to address gaps. And if we continued on that path, our timeline would become ever more risky. Two is we realized that our solution that we've built internally was a relatively modern solution that met all of our needs. So we've made some decisions along the way that change what the solution looks like today, but it is a tremendous achievement, a tremendous solution that was tested in and out. One more number for you, and that is I had one person around the table here run a report for me of how many resources across the organization are actually engaged in this effort. How many folks dedicate more than half the time to their program? And we have an underrepresented number, mind you, because not everybody charges their time to the project. But we have more than 70 people in the organization working more than half time on this program. It is a tremendous achievement, only enabled by the fact that we decided that this was our priority for the year, allocated time, resources, efforts, blood, sweat, and tears into making this happen.
And just to put one more perspective on that too, while those 70 plus people are dedicating at least half of their time to this project, they're also still dedicating 100% of the time to So this is not a instead of, it is in addition to.
We need to connect them to Michael.
Yeah. We are, again, unprecedented in many ways. I'm going to speed up real quick. Just not only a technology project, it impacts the whole enterprise. Our training teams have been working on developing training artifacts. We've been working with compliance on reviewing and updating our policies and procedures and all of the supporting documents that show that we are indeed compliant with all of our regulations and intents by putting this in place. There's a tremendous effort across the whole organization, and it's only been possible because of everyone's commitment and our dedication to doing this. I'm going to skip the next slide and focus on what's next. The first step after a major launch like this is always stabilization. We build a robust system. We did a very thorough job in testing it. 8,000 plus test cases, 1,500 plus defects found and fixed. It's only when you launch that you think about all the things that you didn't think about. We have a command center in place that looks at metrics daily. I can tell you how many authorizations we process because we run the reports every night to find out what the team did, what they ran into issues with, what we need to fix with what urgency. We're going to continue that for the next 2 months, at the very least, assuming we're not finding things that cause us pause. This will allow us to identify issues before our customers do. This will allow us to respond to issues before our customers observe them. We will stabilize. Once we stabilize, we will dedicate our efforts to wave 2. Our wave 2 is scaling the system 100-fold. From the 4,800 or so members we have in the PIC-SNP program, we're going to launch next the Medicaid and HARP populations, over which we have 400,000 plus members in. Scaling is important. To scale, we're going to need to automate a number of items. We're going to need to remedy some of the workaround solutions we had in place to make wave 1 a reality. The other item that's critical for us after stabilization and after wave 2 is next year, we've partnered with Wipro to implement a solution around our Medicare and QHP business using the Health Edge platform, but with another partner who is an expert in that domain, in that business. So our critical milestones for 2026 for Project Edge are to launch the Medicare and HARP business, to scale it 100-fold. Just an easy goal right here. And to implement it with a new partner for Medicare and QHP, the most complex, regulated national business that exists, that we've got to launch and get off the ground. So we have a very ambitious 26. One more item you're going to hear more about Ganesh about is that we've been able to extend our contract with SS&C by another year. And that extension afforded us the ability to think through what we tackle in 26 a little bit differently. Prior to this point, our vision for 26 was a minimal viable product sprint across all the remaining product lines. That extension with SS&C really shifts our approach and allows us to pursue a more fully featured implementation in the upcoming waves. And we're going to take advantage of that extension and think about what it means for our commercial business and EP business in 27. And only enabled by the fact that we're able to extend that extension in a very creative way. And then it's important to think about this not as a destination, but as an enabler for us to truly pursue the automation and the efficiency and the transformation we really want to undergo as an organization. But to do that, we have to go from 0 to 1. Now we have to go from 1 to 100. And only then will we truly be able to undertake the exciting activities that we want to undertake and use this platform for what we want to use it for. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Tomasz. Tomasz had a full head of hair. Joined us.
And it was dark.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to go back now and we're going to go through the resolutions. I'm going to start with old business, the adoption of minutes of September 26th, 2025 board meeting. If I can have a motion for adoption of the minutes.
Motion.
Are there any questions, comments?
No.
If none, then all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All right, the minutes are adopted. Moving on to resolution 2, Stephen.
Yes, so this is a resolution to appoint Carla to the audit. The appointment to our committees is vested, the chair selects, but the entire board has to approve the appointment to the committee. And so we are looking forward to wonderful things from Carla and her bringing her expertise and her background on the audit committee. So if you have any questions, I would move ask somebody to move the resolution. I will note that this was something, this kind of these committee appointments was something that we used to do sort of administratively by email. For us, do that by unanimous consent, and so we have to bring it to a vote to the board.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept Color's.
This is on top of the other committee that I'm on too, yes?
Yes.
Yes,
That already happened, is that approval?
that happened earlier, yes.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, second, all those in favor say yes.
Yes. Wholeheartedly, yes.
All right. You hit the ground running. Then we're moving on to Fred, Corvino.
Sure. Resolution authorizing the submission of a resolution to the Board of Directors of New York City Health and Hospitals to authorize the Executive Director of Metro Plus Health Plan, Inc. to increase the contract authority for Change Healthcare in the amount of $3.1 million, which includes 15% contingency for a total not to exceed authority amount of $23,285,000 for the remaining contract term. That's not the one you have up.
Angela, gotta go down.
I was wondering. Yeah.
Keep going.
You go.
We'll come back to you.
Keep going.
Keep going. This one. Yeah.
Yep,
Right
that's
back
it.
to go to the presentation.
Keep me on your toes today.
There you go. Nick?
All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Nick Colbert, Director of Risk Adjustment. I'm responsible for
Senior Director.
Senior Director of Risk Adjustment. That's correct. So I'm responsible for the portion of our Change Healthcare contract that's dedicated to risk adjustment. This is a agreement that we have had in place, approved by both the MetroPlus and Health and Hospitals Board, December 2021. We're coming up on our last year of this contract and are asking for an increase of $3.1 million. As Fred said, that would put the total do not exceed amount at $23.3 million for the entire engagement. It's been a successful, engagement we have had with Change Healthcare. They do, analytics. They do chart retrieval coding to make sure that we correctly document all of the conditions that our members have across most of our lines of business. And very importantly, we audit them 3 times a year. They have shown an ability to meet or exceed our auditing thresholds in almost all, except for the first year when we did have to, implement a few corrective action items that they were able to meet. And there's also a return on this if done correctly. It ensures that we receive the accurate compensation to reflect the risk profile of our members in our various, government-sponsored programs. So having this $3.1 million for the final year of the contract will allow us to reflect the membership changes really that we've seen since December 2021. As everyone knows, there was a big boom in membership from Essential Plan and other lines of business in 2022, 2023, even into early 2024. We've had an additional line of business become risk adjusted, the CHIP line of business. So not all of that was taken into account when we did the initial budget for this in December 2021. And this additional $3.1 million would allow us to successfully finish out this last year of the contract, issue a new RFP, and also have some contingent funding, for any unexpected costs that may come our way, so we can successfully finish out this contract. Next slide. I think this is, what I mentioned in terms of our, the return on investment that can, be realized, the increase in our membership, which, was not consistent with our budget in 2021. And next slide. And this is just again showing that the original contract authority was $2 million. We're asking for $3.1 million more for a total new contract authority of $23.3 million.
And they work for free initially. Right?
That's
No, that's available.
Yeah.
One, okay.
They have been a very good partner even through the blackout that we experienced. We were able to stand up our program on the drop of a dime. I think the efforts that we're putting forth are reflective in the additional revenue that we are seeing. It is a good program and led by a very strong leader here at the organization.
We do, Sal, to your point, we do hold them to account. So during the blackout, there were, we very closely monitor all the invoices to make sure that, they're not charging for things that they're not supposed to be charging for. We did ask them for some credit. So, it hasn't only gone in the direction of increases. We have also, asked them for, like I said, credits on invoices, things like that. So yes, they have done some free work for us.
Okay. Branch?
If there are not any further questions,
We'll take a motion for adoption of the resolution.
Motion.
Second, all in favor say yes.
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 Okay. Motion's adopted. Now we're up to validity, right?
Where do you want to go now?
We'll do
Yeah,
Fred
let's
and
do
then we'll go back
validity.
to Steve. Yeah, let's do validity and then we'll go back to Steve.
Okay. So authorizing the executive director of Metro Plus Health Plan, Inc. to execute a 1-year best interest contract extension and increase the spending authority with Avality LLC for an amount not to exceed $1.5 million for a total not to exceed contract authority amount of $2.5 million. Yeah. Ganesh?
Good morning. So we're seeking a best interest extension of Avality to process EDI transactions. So in February 2024, when there was a Change Healthcare cyber attack, Avality stepped in for us and they were able to very quickly at no charge offer EDI services. Since then, the MetroPlus Board of Directors approved a resolution for 1 million spending authority for a 1-year contract term to be able to continue using Avality for that 1 year. We were going to do an RFP in order to solicit responses to an EDI vendor, inclusive of potentially Avality and Change Healthcare, so we can have some redundancy. But we've been a little bit busy this year with Health Edge, so we have not been able to do the RFP. So we're asking for an additional $1.5 million for a total not to exceed authority of $2.5 million to continue working with Avality until we're able to do the RFP in 2026. Next slide. So Avality is a little bit more cost effective than our previous contract with Change Healthcare. We do continue to have Change Healthcare and we have Avality. Avality has moved on to take up 70% of our transactions leveraging EDIs. And to put that in perspective, Change Healthcare was charging us 27 cents per transactions for 837 transactions and 5 cents per transactions for 835 responses. Avality is given, we have a contract with them for 12 cents per transactions, and the volume of claims that we get a little under 5 million professional claims, 837s per year, and a little under 2 million institutional claims. So it's a significant cost savings for us to migrate a lot of this transaction to Avality. So next slide. So again, to summarize, we are seeking an additional 1-year contract extension with Avality with the increased spending authority of 1.5 million for a total not to exceed of 2.5 million.
Okay. Can I have a motion for approval of the resolution?
Motion.
Second, everyone in favor say yes.
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 It's adopted. We're adopted. Now we're going back to Steve.
So this is a resolution to increase the threshold for obtaining authorization or approval from the Metro Plus Board of Directors for procurement contracts, with a couple of exceptions, and for leases or licenses of property from the current threshold of $250,000 annually to a new threshold of $600,000 annually. Okay, let's get to it. So, the $250,000 threshold was set in 2011. It has not been increased since then. This would bring it up to 600,000, would make it basically flat PPI for the time period. Give or take, it's slightly higher than that. When we look at the number of contracts, it would reduce the number of contracts or leases that would come here by about 25%, but have a negligible amount in terms of the spend of the agency or corporation that would come to the board. As you can see, as you've seen by other ones, there's millions and millions of dollars of contracts, and then these are sort of smaller contracts. Reducing them would both reduce the number of things that the board has to consider, but would also allow the agency to be more nimble in terms of some of these smaller things, because as you know, the board meets every 3 months, so this would allow us on the smaller contracts to be able to respond more promptly. Go ahead. And so I would ask for approval for the board to move, but if there are any questions, any issues people want to talk about.
No.
I'd ask if someone would make a motion to approve the increase from 250 to 600,000.
So moved.
Second, all in favor say yes.
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 Resolution's approved. And thank you. Next, we have, who's next? Rob, cybersecurity.
Hi, yeah, Metro Plus is seeking the executive committee approval for the continuation of the planned cybersecurity program, which is largely built around the Department of Financial Services requirements. I'll go through the report at this time. Can you please move to the next slide? Oh, no.
You have to call security.
I have no more hair to pull out of my head.
This seems to be a trend.
If you unshare, can you stop share and then you share again? Can you get back
It's
to it?
gone, no. Let me pull it up from here.
Oh my goodness. It's okay.
Rob had all the DFS headlines. That's,
Yeah.
that's the thrust of the report. Oh, okay. I'll let me share. All right.
Okay,
Here we go.
so the agenda today, we'll go through the program as it's been designed. I'll just review at a high level what we protect, the DFS cyber requirements, and on and on. So our goal is to protect the availability and integrity of the confidentiality of Metro Plus resources, assets, and data. It's all built around the DFS cybersecurity requirements, HIPAA privacy and security rules, and PCI data security standards. So we try to maintain those frameworks. Next slide, please. So what it is we protect are our business assets and the complexity of what we've built. What's emerging at this time, and Talia alluded to it before, is AI. AI is in the hands of almost every employee. If you have a browser, you can point and shoot. So we are looking to maintain a degree of oversight, governance, and protection over that. But Salesforce, Health Edge, and these other products that we built our business around are also very important to protect. We do that through network controls, business continuity, and other tools that we brought in. Next slide, please. So for the last couple of years, we've been very busy. The New York State Department of Financial Services has issued an amendment to the regulations that we need to and the requirements that we need to conform to. I'm happy to report that we are materially aligned and compliant with the new regs that they put in front of us, as highlighted in green, and I will be providing a certification on April 15th of next year. I did it this prior year, and I will do it every year going forward as long as we continue to be compliant. Any questions? Next slide, please. So I just want to go over some risks that the organization has, and nothing really changes. Artificial intelligence is new. It's very challenging. We need to keep up with the times, so therefore we can't prevent it. We're not looking to, but we need to control it somewhat. So as part of my roadmap for the future, I'm looking for tools to be able to provide us with contextual information on what's being used, who's using it, what data is being used with it. Also, third-party risk is very important. We share a lot of data with a lot of organizations, so we maintain significant optics on those organizations. And also staff behaviors. We do have behavioral analytic tools that gives us an indication on what our users and staff are using, how they're using it, where data is moving. It's important that staff uses good judgment, so we do have a fairly robust training and awareness program. And I'm also happy to report that we've had no security events that are reportable this year. So significant milestone. Any questions? All right, next slide, please. We do go through an annual security and privacy risk assessment year over year. We've done extremely well. This past year, we continue to have one high finding. That's been for the last 3 years. And as Tomas, I think, has alluded, the last couple of years have been very challenging, very busy, and projects are stretched over a course of many years. So we do maintain a shared network with H&H, and we are going to be segmenting from that. That is to protect each other from each other's risks. It's also to allow us to maintain control of our environment going forward. So we look for that to be completed hopefully in the early first quarter of next year. There was a minor issue with authentication implementation. The authenticators we used previously were text-based, and we're moving to an authentication-based. So for that multi-factor that all of us get, instead of getting a text message, you'll be using an authentication application, and that is a more secure way of authenticating. So that is in process of being deployed. Any questions? Okay. Disaster recovery and business continuity. Unprecedented work this year. Some of the CEMT, the crisis emergency management activity, which is recurring, is nor'easter and weather type preparations. There was a potential Long Island Railroad strike that we needed to prepare for, which never occurred, and flooding, heat waves, and things of that sort are typical. But the unprecedented piece this year was testing. We were doing a Nutanix server migration that required a full-fledged test of our SQL servers, and then between May and June of this year, we had 4 complete failover tests and recovery tests, which spanned over multiple weeks and 100% successful. So our failover and disaster recovery programs are very effective. HR does test the Everbridge emergency notification system. We had a 75% response rate, which was good. We're going to be increasing that hopefully over the next year. And we did maintain, we triggered 2 tabletops over the last 12 months. One was for natural disaster, and the continuation of after action work streams. And most recently, we conducted an active shooter. We have 12 or 15 takeaways from that we are going to be following up on. Next slide, please. So our orchestrated phishing simulations are showing a good progress. We're showing a good downward trend in terms of the folks that do fall for them. The green lines across the left side of the graph show the staff response to them. So as they receive them, rather than fall for the phish, they report it to the phishing team, and I have a group of folks that analyze each reported phish. And if it is an orchestrated test, we tabulate that information. So that tells us that the program resonates with our staff, that they can recognize it and report it accordingly. So if you do get a real phish attempt, you'll know where to go with it. So the program is effective. Next slide, please. In addition, we also, one of the biggest risk vectors is inbound email. We typically quarantine about 54, in this past year, actually 54% of inbound email was quarantined or dropped. So 18.2 million pieces came in, 8.4 million were delivered. Everything in that red circle there are filters that we've placed specifically to capture bad mail, malmail, and other threats that could pose harm to the organization. What's really interesting is that there was a 25% year-over-year increase in incoming mail, and we only delivered 5% of that increase to our staff. So it tells me that our filters are effective, and we just try to keep a safer environment through this tool. Next slide, please. As I mentioned before, one of the risks is sharing data with third parties. We have a fairly robust program that monitors our delegated vendors, where we share most of our data with. I'm happy to report that the average score, and the score is based on what you would know as a credit history score. So 750, 760, 800, those are phenomenal scores. They're very strong posture. So the security scores that we apply are based on the credit history scales. So as opposed to last year, we had an average 730 or median score of 730, and we achieved a 760, and that's from the due diligence of those vendors. So they're all in fairly good standing. We're also monitoring Health Edge, since that's going to be our bread and butter going forward. And the Health Edge software at the bottom left is actually what we're more closely monitoring. And they have a 780 score, which is phenomenal. A very strong organization, and we're going to continue leveraging them, obviously, for the foreseeable future. Next slide, please. And many of you have seen this before, but for the last 8 years or so, since I've come on board, I've monitored the Metro Plus security posture, and I've also been monitoring some local competition. We're all in good shape. We're all in either advanced or intermediate levels. I'm very happy to report that Metro Plus is among the top. We've achieved a 790 score. We typically have, in the past, have hit 800, which was insanely tremendous. In February, we did take a downward turn, if you look at the right-hand side of this chart, and that was deliberate. We were doing testing for the preparation for segmentation, and we're rebounding from that. So we're hitting now 790. I think that's going to be the new norm, but I'm still going to be reaching for 800. And that concludes my report. Do you have any questions?
I just had a question about the separation of networks from H&H. What's the time frame for the completion?
So at this stage, we're going to be running some simulation tests the second week of January 9th. We're planning for those testing to separate, and then I think the last weekend in January is when we are planning to separate.
So right now on the infrastructure side, we're set. Everything is in place. It's been in place for a while. It's working out logistics with H&H and making sure that our end users aren't impacted too greatly. Okay. And so that's where the last piece right now, we're trying to negotiate with them so that our finance team, for example, has to log into H&H's PeopleSoft system still, and they have to upload certain documentation. And when the segmentation happens, they have these files locally in their computer, and to be able to transmit it the way H&H is locking us down, it makes it very cumbersome. And they proposed a solution, but that solution is also fairly cumbersome for the team to work with. So we're still working through with H&H to.
We have commitment from H&H as of this morning to get this done by the end of the year,
Okay,
to resolve the issue by the end of the year.
good to hear. Good to hear.
Rob, I'm just curious, how did you simulate the active shooter? How did that work?
So we go through scenarios of it's tabletop exercise. We don't send anybody in with a water gun or anything. It's a tabletop exercise.
I thought not, but I thought it may have been like a fire drill or something. I was just curious.
No. So we propose scenarios. The director who reports to me proposes specific scenarios at specific times of days. Somebody comes into the lobby. They have a weapon. They were able to come in through the lobby with a stolen ID, for instance, and that's how they gain entrance. So we talk about different scenarios and how this could potentially happen, and then how we can react to it. What our reaction is going to be, what our direction to staff was going to be. There's some aha moments at every one of these tabletops where we don't anticipate things, and that's when Talia provides clear direction on who's going to do what in specific circumstances. But it's all a learning experience, and I think it opens our eyes to what could potentially happen. It makes us a stronger organization when we go through those.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, we're moving on to the last item.
Do we need to take do we need to
Oh,
vote
we have
to
approve it.
accept the
Okay,
resolution?
sorry.
No, perfect.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
I'm here.
Resolution to accept.
To continue with the security program for the next year.
Right, sorry, Rob has a regulatory obligation to attest that he not only ran the program in accordance with the regulations, but that was presented to the board at least once a year and the board approves the program. So unless we get that official approval, he can't meet his attestation requirement.
All right. So we move for that approval. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
You're good, Rob.
Thank you.
This is mine.
Final. Oh, okay, Fred, go ahead.
Sure. A resolution adopting the annual operating budget and expense authority of Metro Plus Health Plan, Inc. for calendar year 2026. Lauren?
Hi, good morning, everyone. So just a reflection point on the 2025 experience with our federal government has been largely just a big black box. And we spent hours and days mulling over what clarity could we seek. And going into 2026, even though there are significant headwinds that are in our path forward, we have some clarity that, as we went through the public health emergency, didn't exist. So we are putting forth a flat budget for 2026. We are doing that. Meeting efficiencies and looking at our overall spending plan to assure that we are in the best position to continue to meet these headwinds. For the HR1 budget, the largest impact starting January 1 of 26 will be the effect on the essential plan product offering in New York. Now, as that federal funding no longer is available to New York is accessing a plan to access a trust fund that will keep essential plan going for at least the next few years as it is understood today. I will speak about when we get to our membership, some populations that will become ineligible and how that affects our overall, fiscal position and how we arrived at our administrative dollars. But for, headline number one, our request, $396 million, which is a flat year-over-year expense. This does not include the capital component, which I will go through in a later slide. For our PS services, which is our team members, there is a decrease of 8.5% year over year. And on our OTPS, which is our contracted vendors, that is an increase of 13.4. On the OTPS expenditure increase, it is two main themes that are going on there. One being that in the latter half of 2026, we will be incurring licensing fees on our new platform and running SS&C, our existing platform, concurrently. In addition to that, we are beginning to amortize the Project Edge expenditures that we have been realizing over the last since 2023, and they are coming through our overall P&L now. Next slide. So this slide here gives you the bridge of the FY 2025 and the changes to arrive at 2026. Essentially, Metro Plus runs a vacancy rate of about 8 to 9% on average. And we, in 2025, had a 5% vacancy efficiency rate that was part of the budget. For 2026, we have increased that to 7.5. We feel comfortable with that experience, that meets the organization's needs. We also, during as the HR1 bill started to become alive, we started looking at our teams, assuring that the restructuring efficiency where it could be found is starting to take shape. That total eliminations is valued at $14.6 million. And then in addition, the Project Edge reclass, as Tomasz mentioned, we have 70 people managing their time. We are able to take a percentage of our workforce and reclass that to capital expenditures for 2026, and that's resulting in a $221.3 million overall PS spend. Next slide. In addition to the 396, there is an additional 48.8 on top of that. That is the majority of the capital expense is Project Edge expenditure. Oh, thank you, Ganesh. In that Project Edge value there, it does include our partners that are helping us launch Project Edge. It includes our reverse conversion, data repository, testing. We have the BPAS, which is the Medicare and QHP go live, additional software licensing, and then all of the support teams, temps and consultants that will be brought on to surround the Metro Plus teams as we move through wave 2 and wave 3 in 2026. I will pause here if there are any questions.
Is this all part of the Project Edge budget we currently have?
Yes, this is part of it. So going into 2026, it's a renewal of the 47.5.
And that includes all of the subcontractors and everything affiliated with it.
Yes, it includes Deloitte, it includes our SourceEdge partners, also our project management teams. It is soup to nuts. Next slide. So in the membership projections, Roger gave a landscape of where we stand today. This is where we are going tomorrow by the end of 2026. And there are some significant shifts that are going to occur. The largest one happening in Essential Plan, where the Essential Plan 5 population will no longer be eligible starting in July of 2026. We also have initiatives on our commercial lines where we have open enrollments that are going on for Gold Care, and Medicare that are proving results that will achieve these goals year over year. And the other lines of business, while there is no growth plan, it is a stable year, not anticipating large reductions, anticipating tightening of eligibility, but not in 26 where there will be further significant degrades in the Medicaid population. We believe those to happen more in 27 when the 6-month recertification requirements and the work requirements become active in the population. Next slide.
Sorry, quick question, Lauren. EP5,
Yes.
about how many members of EP5 is it?
About 40,000 of those lives.
Okay,
But
thank you.
they may be captured other places.
No, they're
gonna be
falling
gone.
off.
They're just
They're falling off because they're falling off because the migration to QHP, which would be their most likely transition, the subsidies are not continuing at the end of the year. So for them to go from a no cost to a no subsidized cost program, we don't anticipate it. And when we saw it, when New York enhanced EP to bring them on, we saw that we had 3,000 of our QHP lives move into EP, but then 35,000 came out of the uninsured world. So, likely it's unfortunate, and New York is working on a strategy to try and mitigate, but likely these people will unfortunately be uninsured.
I know you showed the slide, but
Yeah.
what was the current membership at the end of 2025 again?
At the end of 2025, 689.
Yeah, right away at 687.
Yeah. We've had some strong push in Essential Plan in November. And
Yeah, I mean, it's a significant drop because of HR1, and this is why we also have an adjustment on the PS spend, because we have to have the right ratio.
Just make sure I understand. So the people in EP, some of them will go to QHP, is that right?
They will have the availability to purchase on the marketplace, but likely we will see them go uninsured.
Right, and then the state is working on
Yes.
tapping into some trust fund to replace the federal money that's going away, but that hasn't been finalized yet.
Right, so
Is that
they submitted their prints.
Not for
Okay. So the state always, well, since EP existed, there was tiers 1 through 4, right? And tier 1 and 2 are based entirely on financial. Tier 3 and 4 are populations that financially would otherwise be eligible for Medicaid, but because of their immigration status, they cannot. A couple of years ago, the state, with approval from the federal government, added on the EP5 tier. In doing that, they said to the federal government, we know we have this trust fund for EP. We will stop being able to access it in order to get the money that will help us fund EP5. And a lot of those EP5 lives were QHP eligible financially. They moved into EP. In order to keep EP 1 through 4 going after all of this eligibility and funding change from the federal government, they had to ask the federal government to allow them to cease the existence of EP5 to access this trust fund. The trust fund has about $10 billion in it, and New York has calculated that they can keep EP 1 through 4 running with that trust fund for at least 2 to 3 more years, but that means EP5 has to cease existing. Those people who are in that group, because they are still financially eligible for QHP, will remain financially eligible for QHP. There are also individuals where their eligibility for QHP for other reasons in HR1 is being reduced, various immigration statuses, other things like that. So it's what Lauren talked about in terms of the subsidies going away. But the plan that New York doesn't have yet is for that EP5 group. What they're doing for 1 through 4 is in place. They know that they are using the trust fund, and right now they've indicated no intention to modify the benefit package for 1 through 4. But EP5 is where we just don't know if the state is even going to be able to come up with a solution for those individuals who, as Lauren said, are very unlikely to go into QHP because it will be a fully out-of-pocket premium scenario, at least as of December 11th, when the subsidies expire on the 31st.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The state also believes that the reason we saw such an influx into EP5, not just QHP transfer, but 10 times the number of people who came into EP5 is because people dropped their employer's insurance because they had a contribution there and they went into free insurance, which essentially you're not supposed to do, but it's very hard to enforce. So out of the 450,000 people who will lose their coverage in EP5, the state believes that about 150,000 will go back and repurchase their employer's coverage.
Great, thank you.
Raven, are you saying that after year 3 or so, we won't have EP? You'll be using, you'll have used
I
up
would
the
definitely
trust fund?
not say that
No, I don't mean
outright,
to
but
go,
I
but
am saying that the
as things
funding
stand.
source that will keep EP as it exists right now. So what I want to say is the essential plan is essentially unique in the United States. New York took what was in the Affordable Care Act, which is known as a BHP, the Basic Health Plan, and stood one of those up with a bunch of enhancements and frameworks, and that created EP. So they can continue to have a basic health plan, but the trust fund framework, which allows people to have limited to no cost sharing, no premium out of pocket, which other states' basic health plans all do have, those trust fund dollars will go away. So minimally, we would expect at the end of the 3 years that New York State would have to reduce the, frankly, extremely generous benefit package that is in this line of business, increase cost sharing, bring back premiums. They had premiums for a short period of time. There's a lot that they might have to change because they won't be able to fund it as is without the trust fund. That we can definitely speak to, but I don't see any intention for New York to, at this moment, based on what we know in terms of the law, do away with having a basic health plan entirely, but it will have to change.
How it will look, will be.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
Okay. This slide gives the income statement comparisons at the total book of business level. So for going into the forecast, we have more clarity than we have had before. The state has been more timely with transparency on rate actions in the government-sponsored programs. While we don't have our Medicaid premium rates at this point, we did have discussions and indications on what the base rate increases will look like. Overall, the PMPM for forecasted is increasing year over year. That's from $589 to about $605 PMPM. But overall, when you look at the volume of our lives, because of the change in the essential plan membership, our total book of business of just under $5 billion is will be sitting at $4.7 billion in premium income. Our total administrative budget, as discussed, is requested at $396 million, flat year over year. And we continue to have investments in our treasury bills, which is still yielding additional revenue of $45 million projected. That is down by $23 million from the prior period. But as we know, the rates from the feds have been coming back down. The other savings point here on the capital expense year over year change is the reduction in the capital expense needed as we're moving through our waves of go live from 73 down to 48. So overall, our total expense authority request for 2026 is $444.8 million, which is a 5.1% reduction from 2025. Next slide.
Okay.
This slide just gives you the bar graph of the 25 over 26 forecast, where you can see where our medical loss ratio is sitting at, which is what we've planned at 91.3 for last year, and it's essentially a flat 90.7%. Even with the changes in our overall membership, our admin loss ratio remains about flat from 8 to 8.3. And then looking at our margin for the operating year, targeted at 0.8%, slightly down from the one from 2025.
Right.
So if there are no further questions, I'd like to put it to a board for a vote to approve the 2026 budget.
Okay. All in favor, see, all in favor? I lost track. Do I need a second now?
Need a second.
We need a second. Can we have a second for the resolution?
Second,
And all those in favor say yes.
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 Resolution's adopted. And one that we missed, SS&C. I hadn't forgotten. Just missed it.
Well, so typically, I in IT are always asking for money. In this instance, we're not asking for money. We're just informing the board of something. And before I jump to that, what Tomas had said earlier about the Health Edge implementation, something for my partner Lila and I to report to you guys fresh off the wire is there was a go live this past weekend for Guiding Care, and we've paused all claims coming in that will go when we go live this weekend. For Health Edge, all the claims for PIC will go into Health Edge. So the team has processed everything in PowerStep related to the PIC line of business.
The last claim was processed today.
Last claim was
The last
processed a few
check is
minutes
going
ago.
out, so we're shutting down ours.
So like some extremely
Congratulations.
wonderful news. Like the
Alright.
team is like really on top of stuff. So as Tomas pointed out, one of the drivers for the timelines that we had with Health Edge was related to our termination of the SS&C contract, which was set to expire on 12/31 of 26. And because of that hard timeline where they were going to sunset both the product of PowerStep that we use, our main claims adjudication software, as well as Care Connect, it really limited what we could do in terms of Health Edge. We had to really rush through and go through an implementation in a very shortened and aggressive timeline. And so as Tomas had also alluded to, what we were doing is we were going through setting up Health Edge with minimal viable products, which means that it'll do the job, but there are a lot of manual work that's associated with it, and we were making compromises. And so Talia was able to negotiate with SS&C for an extension in a way that they weren't going to do before. They were not going to extend, but we were able to come up with a very creative way of purchasing the software from them, the source code for PowerStep. And with that purchase, they're also going to house, right? See, we just purchase the software independently. It would be meaningless to us because we still have to have another vendor host it for us. And it would be another implementation. So what we creatively did was ask them for us to purchase the software and for them to host the software for us for 2026 and 2027. So there was no other implementation. Everything would be status quo. While Care Connect will terminate in December 31st of 2026, PowerStep will continue on. And this allows us now to move our Wave 3 from a 2026 implementation to a 2027 implementation. It allows us to move from our original goal of trying to get Wave 2 by March of 2026, really aggressive from going live now, next week. So very shortly stabilization and then go live with a Wave 2. We've pulled that out to the end of second quarter, beginning of third quarter, middle of the year of 2026. So we can also not just concentrate on MVP, but automation, anything we put to the side and we compromise on, we can aggressively say, okay, let's try to get those things in place. And so you go to the next slides. And so, again, we're not asking for additional money because it's already approved for $212,100,000 by both the H&H board and the Metro Plus board in our contract authority for SS&C. And so we're going to use some of that money, and some of it is offset because, again, when we're purchasing the software, what we would have normally paid for maintenance and hosting and all that stuff is also included in there. So we are not asking for additional funding or a funding authority, but the use of that money, we're letting you guys know that we're using it. It'll be within the budget authority, and just to let you know that what we've done over the last year with SS&C.
Terrific. Yeah, we're also going to get kind of a timeline just showing initial approval, contract authority, additions, subtractions, just like from where we started to where we are now.
For SS&C?
Right. Not for SS&C, for Project Edge.
Yes.
Project Edge.
Did you guys get to that?
Yes, we'll meet with her.
Okay, so
Okay.
the finance team was working on it yesterday.
Okay, great. All right, is there anything else? Before the board?
Can you indulge me in 2 minutes? I know we're over time. So I can just call out some of the 2025 accomplishments.
Okay.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, the 2 hour session.
Oh, okay.
But no one gets lunch then.
Okay, the guilt was acknowledged. I will just, we will, as I said, we will publish the 25 It will be disseminated, but I just want to take the opportunity of the board meeting to call out some of the accomplishments from 25. Again, not gonna read all of them, you'll see them, but the highlights. So, claims processing, 97% of claims processed within 30 days on the 1980 system. Payment integrity that did not exist prior to last year. Over $40 million recoupment this year. Risk adjustment. Nick and his team, $21 million in QHP, $10 million in Medicare, $165 million in Essential Plan. Risk adjustment. Financial performance beat our forecast by 17%. Quality. CAP survey in Medicare, 5 stars rating for health plan. Number 1 for quality in HIV SNP 3 years in a row. Top tier for quality in Essential Plan. Top performance in quality for HARP. Customer experience, NPS 75. Customer satisfaction 4.7 out of 5. Number 1 member satisfaction, 77.8%, outperforming all competition. Not done. Digital leadership maintained our number 1 position for social media presence. We currently have 60,000 followers. Brand consideration soared from 16% in 2022 to 40% today. New plan sponsor added PAGNI into our Gold Care. Gold plan growth 18% year over year, and the creation of the SWAT team to allow us to do all of the regulatory implementations while we're also implementing a whole new system. They completed 58 projects in 1 year that allowed us to stay focused on Health Edge and other business needs. So this is just a subset, but I'm so proud of this team, proud of this company, proud that we prevailed despite all of the challenges. So the full list to be published, but those are the highlights. And if I may, today is our newest board member's birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Very nice.
Wow, we'll continue with Ann Paris.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sing happy birthday.
No. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Carla. Happy birthday to you.
Bravo.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, Carla, I've never gotten flowers.
I want to thank all the board members. You come, you work so diligently, you take it so seriously. The staff really should be saying this because they're the ones who get your input, your wisdom, your direction, your challenges. We have an amazing board. I just want to thank you all.
Seconded.
Second that.
And thank you.
Okay.
Thank you to our fearless chair.
Yes.
Really set the tone. And personally, keeps me sane.
Okay, there being no old or new business, our meeting's adjourned and the food is waiting. Okay, thank you all. Oh, yeah, we have to do one more thing.